everybody. Welcome to Take the Black Live, the show of myself, Dan Selcke, from newscoming.net, Cheryl Wassenaar, culture.com. Go over the latest news in Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, fantasy fiction. Cheryl, how are you today? No breath.
Breathing is overrated, apparently. I'm fine, Dan. How are you?
I'm pretty good. All right. So, everything is happening in the Game of Thrones nation. A new episode is aired. Everybody is super interested in it. We just did a very thorough and nuanced examination of it.
Yeah.
For WiC Club.
Sorry, guys. We had nuance.
I know. The internet hates it. If you want to see our immediate reactions, go to Take the Black React, which is right after the episode airs. Josh and I reacted to it. And, that was a good time. But here, we already are here to preview the next episode.
I know.
Episode 805, untitled The Penultimate Episode of Game of Thrones Ever.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. And we are here to preview that. It's okay. For those who understand the meme, it is Wednesday, my dudes.
Clearly, I do not.
Clearly, you do not. It's okay.
Before we start, though, hey, everybody. Hey, Linda, Leslie, Renee, Kate, David Harris Jr., Lisa, Kenny, Joseph, and, of course, Julie Davies. Everybody is here. Okay, let's start. So we have 2 episodes to go. There's a new one coming Sunday, penultimate episode, second to last ever. It is a little hard to believe. Let's watch the trailer and see what we can see from this very anticipated hour and a half. Okay, silence. It reminds me of the preview for the season 7 finale, which also was, I think, completely silent because they want to impress upon us importance.
Yeah.
Gravitas, gravity. I'm getting a lot of dark colors. Okay, so here's I guess the big question we can just ask right off the bat: is Daenerys going to burn everybody or what?
I mean, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. I mean, I don't know how much we can say before, HBO special ops come in here, but probably is the answer. And I think that's part of the reason why Euron is doing like this.
Oh, yeah. She's 100% going to ride a dragon out of the sun to blind people.
She's finally going to learn tactics after losing 2 dragons and not putting armor on them. I'm going to die mad about that, guys.
Where is she going to find an armor smith for dragons?
Seriously, Daenerys can have all the fur. Daenerys can have all the fur coats in the world from out of nowhere, but armor for dragons is too much.
Yeah, armor for dragons is hard. It's easy to kill, I don't know, a couple of ermines and make yourself a nice coat, even though you shouldn't. But to make dragon armor, where's you gonna get that? Who's gonna make that? Who knows how to make that? Ain't nobody know how to make that. But maybe it'll happen. We'll see.
I'm rolling my eyes so hard for those who are listening to our podcast.
Which is available on iTunes and Google Play.
Yes.
By the way, Julie, loved episode 4 after watching it, but after reflection, I'm not sure it was quite as good as I thought it was. I'd love to hear more, Julie. What did you realize on rewatch? Because we talked about it a lot, but it's very worth talking about. I did like it. I was gripped the whole way through, both times I watched it. I think the conclusion we kind of came to in our WiC Club talk was that most things do make narrative sense in the big picture, but that they're happening a bit too fast. Namely, Daenerys' transition into Mad Queendom.
Yes, and the argument that I believe I was making was they're kind of skipping steps, and the writing isn't serving the purpose. So I was a lot more mixed on first watch even, and then upon further reflection, I'm just thinking more and more into. I liked the ideas that happened, but I didn't like how they were done. So
I enjoyed it. I still didn't enjoy it. Also, Julie says I like this too, that she's angry but not crazy, which I think is a point.
Right.
I'm not sure that they've kind of gotten the point of view as maybe she's right to storm King's Landing. I mean, Cersei is a terrible, horrible ruler. Anybody would be better. Like, a pet rock would be better, Kyban would be better, this mask better, this pen would be better. Like, maybe she should go in and storm it. I think they give more sympathy to that point of view, even though, I mean, there are problems with that too, obviously. But they highlighted the problems and not some of the pluses at all. Let's take a look at some images from the next episode, shall we?
Speaking of mental health issues with sanity and whatnot.
So we got Davos, Tan, and Tyrion outside the gates of King's Landing. The Golden Company there arrayed. Mm-hmm. You know, I got a question. Why they just don't use those giant scorpion things and blast through everybody?
It's hard.
It's hard.
That's all I got for you. It's hard.
Well, that works. Nice shot. Obviously, it's going to be a problem for Jon if Daenerys does indeed want to go ham on King's Landing and kill everybody in there. How is he going to react? Yeah, I miss Daenerys from her pure-hearted days. You can find a solution, Danny. You can. I'm sorry, I'm getting weird. We also got this one of Dany and Tyrion together in Dragonstone. So they're shooting her now. I mean, here's a question. Do you feel bad for Daenerys? Do you feel for her?
Yes. I feel bad for her because she has gone through a lot, and also, like, the writing is kind of playing havoc with her character. Again, the whole skipping steps argument. Mm-hmm. And they're also using really easy narrative shorthand to show that she's in a bad mental state, because just look at her hair. Daenerys is a character who has had her hair...
Missandei's gone. She can't comb it.
Well, yes, but this is the worst Daenerys' hair has looked since she was captured by the Dothraki and taken to Bias Dothrak.
Right.
And in that same situation, she was alone. She was without help. Mm-hmm.
Then she burned down a temple.
So I think we all know where we're going with this one. Like, you can still see the braids, like the trappings, mm-hmm. but most of her hair is unkempt for Daenerys.
For Daenerys, yes, it's always very, very coiffed. Mm-hmm. Also, it's kind of in darkness. They're not like showing her full face in that picture, which is just, covered in darkness. Your face is an age-old technique to show unwell.
Yes.
You ain't so hot.
One thing I'm not sure about is what dress she's wearing because of the way that it's shot, because I think it might be the same dress she wears at Winterfell, which, and I wrote about this on cultures.com, is this idea that Daenerys and Cersei are starting to share like a color palette.
Ooh, I like that.
And shape. They're not so different. But, I kind of go into more detail, but that's one of the things I noticed when I was analyzing these pictures is I don't know what dress she's wearing, and I'm interested to see which one it is.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
We also got some good comments here. Lots of little dragons. I think Pod's going to kill Bronn, says Jen Casey. Interesting theory. I will say, if they kept him alive at the Battle of Winterfell, he must do something. I'm guessing. We'll see. And of course, somebody said they hope they burn King's Landing down. Yes. We'll see if that happens. What's that?
Pod reopens all of Littlefinger's businesses in King's Landing.
He's got to have a career after it's over. Mm-hmm. We got one of Tyrion looking, I think, rather shocked.
Concerned.
I'm guessing Daenerys has said something like, let's burn them all.
And he's like, wait a second, I've heard that before.
Deja vu, where have I heard that? Tyrion's own father sacked King's Landing.
Yes.
Back in the day. So, does that make Tyrion a hypocrite? I don't think so, because I don't think he liked working for Joffrey when he did. And his whole thing was, I want to find a leader who won't do that kind of thing.
Right.
No, I'm getting so nervous.
That is definitely the face of a man who regrets a couple life choices, though.
Debbie would go so mad queen on Cersei. Oh, yes. And Julie asked, will she ever find out what the Night King pattern meant? Oh, that spiral thing. If it helps Julie or anybody else looking, I believe they said in a little interview, I don't think it's as big as people thought it was. That it was the spirals of the children of the forest, and the White Walkers kind of took them and profaned them by using them in their little corpse collages. I don't think it goes worse than that. This is totally off topic, but I always people put too much, expectation on the White Walkers to be some kind of I never thought they were more than just a representation of implacable death.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know what people, like, wanted out of it. Like, I guess they wanted, like, this really deep mythology out of it, but I always thought that was more for the people. But that's past. See, he's turned around now. Okay. Anyway, back to this next one, which is going to just... The internet's going to explode. It's going to be so frustrating. But it's going to happen. Okay, we got Tyrion and... No, sorry. Jon and Varys walking on the beach. Oh, no. Varys is trying to talk him into running for the throne, isn't he? It's like, I have an idea.
I can be your campaign manager.
That guy bounces all over the place. Why don't you run against your aunt? We can take her out, put you on. That'll be great. Oh, and I wonder if perhaps like he'll tell Dany, you know, your bald helper is telling me to run against you, and then she does something bad to him.
Maybe that's why Tyrion's so concerned.
Maybe. I'm gonna burn Varys. They did have that, which now seems like, you know, blatant foreshadowing conversation when they first got to Westeros, where Varys was, where she's like, if you betray me, I'll burn you alive, and he was like, fair enough. I feel like that might be where we're going. And then Melisandre did tell him he'll die in this strange country. Pins are all there, people.
And I mean, not that it matters much, but where did Melisandre tell him he's going to die in a strange country?
Well, they were literally on Dragonstone.
Yes.
Which it could have been anywhere, but probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be very stressful. Okay. Any other thoughts on the next episode, or do we just want to move on because it stressed me too much to think about?
You're getting stressed. Let's de-stress with some amusement.
Okay.
And talk about some prequels.
Let's talk about the future.
Yes.
Because Game of Thrones isn't the end. It's going to be over in 2 weeks. God, it's weird to say out loud. But there's going to be more coming. And George R.R. Martin, bless his heart, cannot, and I actually love this, cannot stop talking about the prequels, even though I assume HBO wishes he would just, like, how do we tell this very powerful, very sought-after, very respected author to shut up? Basically, he wrote on his blog talking about. Do you think that? I think it's adorable.
I'm full on doing like the Muttley chuckle from the old Wacky Races cartoons, you know. But yeah,
you're talking about.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, George R. Martin is writing on his blog and says that they had 5 different Game of Thrones successor shows in development. He doesn't like the term spinoff. Very delicate of him.
Roll eyes. Continue.
And that 3 of them are still moving along. And that's the bit I don't think they want you to say. And then he went on saying that, you know, the one we know about is the Long Night, or the one that is not called the Long Night, that's set thousands of years before, during the first White Walker invasion. That's shooting later this year, we know that. But that 2 others remain in the script stage. What are they about? I cannot say, but maybe some of you should pick up a copy of Fire and Blood to come up with your own theories. Now, Fire and Blood is his book about the Targaryen dynasty, basically from Westeros when they get there. And I mean, that's pretty bad. That's pretty blatant.
What could this be about,
He's
Dan?
basically saying it's going to be about either Aegon's conquest or the Dance of the Dragons, which are the 2 juiciest Targaryen Westeros bits.
And
or even Valyria, maybe.
And that's saying something because, like, the Targaryens were a bit crazy. Were a bit bonkers.
Yeah, but they still are.
And they still kind of are. Like, what? I don't even know. Like, what? Why does he keep opening his mouth?
Because he loves it. Because he wants to tease it. It's fun.
I mean, yeah, if people are speculating about what the successor shows are going to be about, then they won't be badgering him for the Winds of Winter anymore.
That's true. You know, it's kind of funny that people have just almost, like, given up on that. Like, I don't actually see that a lot anymore. But, like, when's it going to come, George? People are just like, they're just tired of this point.
I know.
If it comes out, it comes out. I'm not going to waste energy on it.
That's where I am. It's a nice place to be.
Oh, me too.
I have better things to care about.
But we can look forward to these. I call them prequels. I think that's splits the difference.
Yeah.
It's not as up your own butt as successor shows, but it's, you know, it's still quick.
Not as high in his own supply.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. By the way, there's a comment here. If a dragon fell into the water, surely it would slash water all over the ship and rock the hell out of it too. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We'll see.
But what are physics, really?
Okay, I know we don't want to talk. Well, we should. Debbie asked, why do people think Daenerys is crazy? I'm just not seeing it. So, okay, let's talk about that really quickly.
Okay.
So they're all calling her, Varys explicitly called out her, I'm worried about her mental state. Something like her state of mind.
Right.
Um,
What a great Conleth Hill impression.
Thank you. Worried about her state of mind. The question is Daenerys' fury justified? Like, is she crazy or is she just really ticked off?
Well, I don't know because I'm not a therapist or a
No.
psychologist.
I mean...
But what I can do, loosely, is say, and I'm not an expert, just prefacing this now, grief does a lot to a person. And we go into this more on WiC Club, but I also kind of talked to you a little bit about this kind of sense of entitlement that we've always seen with Daenerys.
Sure.
And when an entitled person doesn't get what they think they deserve, it screws with them a little. I'm not saying it drives them crazy, but it screws with them, mentally speaking. So you add that with the grief, and you have someone who is not in a great place, mentally speaking. I'm not saying she's going crazy, because I can't diagnose that. But
I mean, she's fictional.
She's
Why
fictional.
not?
Like,
no one's going to sue you.
hush you. But I'm saying, like, if she's not mad, she's definitely not in a great mental health space. And you could make a whole long dissertation, I guess, probably, about why women that show these kinds of emotions are usually thought of as crazy. But it seems like they're kind of leaning into that. Like,
yeah, maybe that's the uncomfortable thing.
that's the uncomfortable thing.
Like, it's okay to feel the way Daenerys does, I think, right here.
Yeah.
There's nothing crazy about it. It's just she's lost a lot of people. It's very difficult. She's in a strange... At the end of the day, Westeros is... I mean, I know she says it's my home. I got to go back to my home. She's never been here. Like, it is a strange foreign place, and she is not accepted.
Right.
Like, it's wearing on her. And yeah, so I don't like the implication that it's literally crazy. I mean, then you add in that her father literally was crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a rich tapestry.
Yeah. I've seen some really good analysis about how Game of Thrones... I want to say this is from Tama Lorenzo, about how Game of Thrones seems to be settling into this whole women are crazy mode. And, like, especially after this episode, like, yeah. Yeah. So, Debbie, I hope that answers your question a little bit. I'm sorry I can't give you a straight answer, but it's nuanced. But yeah, so that's basically what's going on, I think, roughly.
Oh, Debbie, again, with another quick question.
Yes.
What about Tywin? Was he crazy when he sacked the city, or any other soldier or leader for that matter? No, citizens get sacked all the time. There is definitely a sexist double standard here happening. It's hard to say if it's the characters or the writers or what.
Bit of both.
But no, Tywin was not crazy. He just was playing by the rules of war. I do think that, okay, in that situation, Varys, this is just the history of the show. Varys did not want to let him in. He told King Aerys, don't let him in. So Varys didn't want the city to be sacked. And Tyrion does not want to work with someone who does that. Did I say this here on WiC Club? I think I said it earlier in this show. That Tyrion hated working for Joffrey. He wants to find somebody who won't do that kind of thing. Like, and there are lines in early seasons where he's like, I want to serve a ruler I believe in. He wants to believe in Dany, and he wants to believe that she'll be better than Tywin. And the other headlines about our terrible fathers. But yeah, going back to the sexism stuff, yeah, it's unfortunate that, yeah, I think you're right, that like Daenerys is feeling things that I think are justifiable and or just understandable. And it's the way they're invoking crazy is troubling.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, I will add that they have also, in the text of the show, talked about Targaryen literally's craziness, like the history of mental health.
Right.
So it's not like... Do you think it's women or Daenerys on the show? Because I feel like some women are doing pretty well. Like Sansa has been pretty capable all season, and Arya's been hitting it out of the park.
I want to say it was women.
Okay.
Because, I mean, even Cersei has kind of fallen into this a little bit.
That's been that way for a while with her, though.
Yes, but it's thrown into a lot of relief this season. But anyway,
Okay.
So yes, hopefully we have answered that question well.
A rich tapestry. Send me other stuff. That's great. Oh, according to Marlene, fictional characters with diagnosable roles, according to psychologists.
Yes, but I'm not a psychologist.
Yes, neither am I. But you know what? I play one on the internet. Lisa says that Danny has nothing to lose anymore. Might as well get revenge. And she can't talk to John anymore. Yeah, it's tricky. It's complicated. It's dense stuff that they're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, people.
Yeah.
It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's de-stress and go beyond the wall for a minute. Talk about something that's not involved with Game of Thrones for a second. I feel like all kinds of stuff here. What?
We thought we were going to de-stress with the prequel show, and we went right back into stress.
This episode has a hold on people. Like, it's good to talk about. Okay.
All right, beyond the wall.
Disney. They run Hollywood, they run the world, they run the media. They've released their list of movies through 2027, I think. And
Or at least partial lists.
Yeah, I mean, they had lots of untitled this, untitled that.
Right.
But I just wanted to, go over a couple of highlights and see what you thought. Really quick, The New Mutants with Maisie Williams, that X-Men thing, finally has a release date, April of next year, I think. Good for that. See if that gets moved again. The main bit is, though, okay, so between 2020 and 2022, there are 8 untitled Marvel movies on the way.
It's about right.
So they are not slowing down this train. That's about keeping pace with what it was for the past couple of years, right?
Yes, there are 2 in 2020, and then there are 3 each in 2021 and 2022, which is...
Woo! And a few this year.
Yeah, and a few this year.
Yeah, between Endgame, Far From Home, and I thought, is there another one?
No.
Okay.
Not that Captain Marvel.
Oh, that's right. There was a bunch.
We're just in permanent Game of Thrones mode. We don't remember anything before about April 14.
That was 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Give me a
that's like
break.
forever. Anyway, so yes, there are 8 untitled Marvel movies. And speaking of, one of those Marvel movies is probably The Eternals, and Richard Madden.
Oh, yeah, Richard Madden got a gig.
Richard Madden got a gig, and I just want Richard Madden to be inexplicably Scottish still. For no reason. He's just Scottish. It's fine. Anyway, Marvel movies.
I'll bet some Game of Thrones folk get on some of the new Marvel stuff. If they're going to bring in new characters, now's the exact right time. They're free, they're available, they're red hot. Time to hire them for Marvel projects to just make their careers, because in today's Hollywood, if you're not playing a superhero, you're not working.
Are you really doing anything at all?
Or anything worth talking about. Also, coming now that Disney has bought Fox, who's in the mood for 4 sequels to Avatar? 4 different sequels. Coming in 2021, 23, 25, 27. They're going to try to make this happen. Cheryl, are you on board?
They've been trying to make this happen for years.
I mean, there's only one movie. Avatar, by the way, the movie about big, giant blue aliens.
Cat people
That are kind of like a Dances with Wolves, but not really takeoff. Where they come and he gets in Sigourney Weaver dies near a big old tree. I mean, it's the most profitable movie in history. That is true. But it has like a weirdly, like not a firm grip on the public consciousness, really.
Yeah.
Like you don't like think of it immediately when you think of giant media properties. You go to Marvel, you go to Star Wars, you go to Game of Thrones maybe, or Harry Potter, stuff like that. Like, no one's first choice is, oh, yeah, the blue folk from Avatar. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But they're going to try to make it happen. What's your take on it?
They've been trying to make it happen for forever. I believe the excuse James Cameron has given it is the technology just isn't ready yet.
How hard can it be to make a blue person dance around a moon or something?
Okay, like, I don't even know what James Cameron's deal is, guys. Yeah, like... They're trying to make it happen.
Really hard.
And the reason they're trying to make it happen is the other big thing that they announced, which is when the next Star Wars movies are coming out. Okay. I'm going to apologize to our non-Star Wars fans in the audience. So, after Episode 9, which comes out end of this year, which I'm so excited for, there are no new Star Wars movies until 2022. They are coming in 2022, 2024, and 2026. And if you will notice, they are on the opposite years that Avatar. That is that is because they are all in the December release date.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. That's clever.
Which I'm happy about. Star Wars needs a break.
Yeah, so that's like a 3-year break
Yeah.
or 2-year break. That's
3 years.
nice. 3
3
years.
years.
That'll be a nice deep cleansing.
Maybe they'll realize that neither Benioff and Weiss nor Rian Johnson should be making Star Wars movies.
Oh, how hard can we make Star Wars movies?
We have just had a long discussion about what Benioff and Weiss are doing to Game of Thrones and how we disagree with it.
I'm still enjoying the season very much. I liked the episode. I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring us. Also, I'm just gonna say this. You might not like this, but Star Wars movies not as complicated as Game of Thrones. I don't think they need to be as sophisticated to write a good Star Wars movie. Ooh.
Why are you
Who
the worst?
agrees with me?
Why are you the worst? It's not that Star Wars movies are less complicated than Game of Thrones. It's that Star Wars movies are complicated in a different way than Game of Thrones is complicated.
I mean, they trade more on. Okay, I'll try to say this in a way that's not horribly offensive. I think Star Wars movies, compared to something like Game of Thrones, trade a little more on things like iconography, a little more on. I don't want to say spectacle because that's diminutive, but iconography and myth and just kind of classic hero's journey type stories that are, by their nature, a little less naughty than what we get in Game of Thrones, which is, what is the nature of power and subverting expectations with all these different kinds of characters all interlocking across these giant masses of stories. I think that actually might be a better fit for people who maybe have been accused of preferring spectacle to nuance and such things as that. Not that there isn't nuance in Star Wars, but I do think, it's a lot of the Star Wars fandom is about they make their own nuance, and there's books and stuff like that. But I've seen all the movies, and a lot of them are, driven by the big push of beautiful ideas rather than kind of the nitty-gritty tiny details.
I mean, Game of Thrones is driven by big ideas too, like we have just discussed, and
Yes.
and yet we are arguing about execution as season 8 airs. And so now I am concerned that Star Wars will get ruined by this execution problem, like Solo, which was, oh God.
I didn't see it. It was bad.
It's not bad, it's just aggressively mediocre.
Okay.
But yeah, like I just don't want Rian Johnson or David Benioff and Dan Weiss to make Star Wars movies. I'm tired of the same kind of white dude director getting
Sure, I take that point.
getting to make a Star Wars. Just let somebody else make a Star Wars, guys. Star Wars is for everyone. That's what they said at Star Wars Celebration.
It does
Put
feel
your money
like
where your mouth is.
a little like the obvious choice, but yeah. I mean, if you want to ask me, honest to God, I say why not take another 15, 20-year break?
Because Disney.
I mean, I know why. I mean, don't get me wrong. The reason's money, but
The reason is money.
I think that's what I think would be best for the actual content, personally.
Honestly, I am more excited for things like The Mandalorian and Episode 9 than I am for the 2020 X movies. But I just want to have good Star Wars, guys. But yeah, no, I'll live with it. I'll probably still go see them in the theater, assuming we still have the planet by then. So.
By the way, before we get to our final little note, there's a discussion going on in the comments right now about whether Sansa was right to leak the information. Personally,
yes.
I saw it. Yeah, I was on board with that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I blame Jon more for telling them in the first place.
Jon Snow is an idiot.
Daenerys warned him, I thought, very convincingly that this will tear people apart. It's doing that with Varys and Tyrion and Dany. Ned Stark kept a secret for a long time. I think he should have kept it to himself. I mean, Sansa, yes, she did promise, and then she broke it. But I don't know, I have a hard time seeing how that ever could have gone another way. Of course she did. It's really not in her interest to keep the secret.
That's right. Sansa's not playing just for Sansa. Sansa's playing for the North. And if she can sow division between Jon and Dany and Tyrion by extension, using Tyrion as basically her cat's paw in this whole maneuver, making him doubt himself, and spread that worry to Varys, Sansa wins.
I mean, I thought Tyrion had a point that maybe just get on board of Dany already. That if you do, you'll be the power in the North. Jon will be down in King's Landing. Like it'll be okay. But we know that the Stark girls just do not trust them, and I understand that too. After all they've been through, it makes sense.
That's right.
But why can't we always come together, Cheryl, and join hands and skip around a field?
This is Game of Thrones.
Fair enough.
If you join hands, you die.
If you don't join hands, you die. If you walk, you die. If you skip, you die. If you take a swim, you die.
Field of Flowers, instant death.
And finally, before we sign off, so it's really, really quick. R.I.P. Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca in, I believe, the originals, Revenge of the Sith, and a little bit in The Force Awakens.
Yes.
There he is. He died at the age of 70-something.
74.
74. Yeah,
So,
too bad. R.I.P. Chewbacca.
Yep. There have been a lot of beautiful tributes to him from Harrison Ford, George Lucas. So, yeah.
And that's our show.
Chewie. Oh.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back on Sunday with an immediate reaction to the latest Game of Thrones episode right after it airs, right here on the Facebook page. On Wednesday for a preview of the series finale. And we're breaking down a little more of the hot button issues on the WiC Club over on our Patreon page. Feel free to check that out if you have a mind. With that, we will see you in a few days. Adios, everybody.